This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Good news, team. We have an exciting new sponsor here at the Crypto Conversation, and well, they are perfectly positioned for today's changing investment environment. Because with market volatility so high and the expected returns for stocks and bonds so low, I tend to agree with the analysts at JP Morgan who have declared that alternative assets are no longer optional. And that is good news for those platforms who can provide access to the top alternative asset classes like Masterworks. Yes, Masterworks.io has solidified itself as the platform for investing in contemporary art. And Masterworks is on a mission to democratize art investing, which is a 1.7 trillion asset class. How do they do this? Well, Masterworks is the first platform to make it possible to purchase shares that represent an investment in multi-million-dollar artworks from iconic artists such as Banksy, Kaws, and Basquiat, all at a price point tailored to you. And since 2017, Masterworks has sold a number of iconic artworks, with each returning over 30% net IRR to investors. Legally, I have to follow that with past performance is no guarantee of future results. Now, if you want to get in early, just go to masterworks.art/cryptoconversations to skip their waitlist. That's masterworks.art/cryptoconversations. And you can see important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. And now it's on with the show. My guest today is Dave Balter. Dave is the CEO of Flipside Crypto, a new platform that lets users get paid to learn about protocols, different blockchains, and level up to become crypto superstars. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thanks so much, Andy.
Hey, now looking forward to learning all about Flipside Crypto today, Dave. Had a look through the platform. Looks very interesting indeed. Just before we do that, we'll do what we always do at the beginning of the show, which is please, Dave, please do introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit about your background in the lead up to Flipside.
You got it. All right. Well, excited to be here. Flipside is a 4-year-old company. Before this, we can talk about sort of the genesis of this, but before this, I'm a long-term entrepreneur. This is actually company 7 for me. So I'm a glutton for punishment maybe, or something like that. I've had a few nice outcomes, a couple mediocre, a failure in there, all the stuff you want as an entrepreneur. And I sort of moonlight as a venture partner at True Ventures, who has backed our last 3 companies. So I do some of that on the side too.
Got it. All right then. Well, give us the high level pitch for what Flipside is, and then we'll circle back. We'll do the origin story.
Awesome. So Flipside sort of solves what we learned over many years. We sort of pivoted into this model. We learned the pain that blockchains and protocols often have are getting insights delivered, on time and with quality control in a way that helps them and their protocols and their community members solve their business needs. The pace of blockchains is we all know this, but it's so fast. Things are happening and changing in real time. You need a data architecture that sort of helps you just create solutions. So we really do 2 things with the data we extract. And when we work with a partner, we pipeline and clean their data, make it sort of analytics ready. And then we really do 2 things. We help onboard ecosystem participants who are interested in working with that data to solve challenges. So we'll onboard thousands of people into a protocol or a blockchain every month. And then we give them more and more, difficult challenges over time to solve major system needs. That could be everything from I'd like a segmentation analysis of every wallet address on Terra so that, Anchor protocol knows how to do lending to, at Terra, they launch their reserves and they need a dashboard to help you understand what's happening with the Bitcoin reserve. Yeah.
Got it. So
that's what we do.
Yeah. So it's like if some kind of a blockchain startup is underway and they want some kind of strategic insight into what they're doing, but they're not quite resourced enough to achieve that themselves, that is when they would come to Flipside. Is that kind of it in a nutshell, Dave?
Somewhat. So I'm gonna give one refinement to that.
Please.
So we work really. We spent, and maybe this will talk about where we came from, but we spent a long time working with all sorts of different blockchains and protocols. We had 45 customers at one point. And what we realized pretty quickly was if a protocol didn't have what we consider kinetic energy, so sort of users already engaged and seeing the value proposition, you sort of created something of a ghost town for analytics or for people onboarding. You could onboard somebody, but there's not a lot to do. And so we made a really sort of crazy, bold, I don't know what it was, decision about a year ago, maybe a little more, where we actually removed 38 of our customers.
Wow.
And we said, we're only going to focus on chains that have this kinetic energy. So we work with Terra and Flow, Osmosis, Solana, Algorand, and we're just very particular about it. And what that does is that allows the community in our ecosystem to know that if we bring something forward, there's a reason for that. We have done the work with the data to understand it's a place where they can engage and learn and have a good career as an analytical mind in blockchain protocols.
Gotcha. And by kinetic energy, I know what you mean, but just define what you mean by that.
Yeah, so we'll put it in context. Think of it as potential and kinetic energy. Potential energy is, hey, here's a blockchain or a protocol that's received a ton of funding from all the right big VCs, and they don't really have customers or developers on there yet, but and their technology is amazing. You hear that all the time, like, wow, this could be groundbreaking, but like it's not there yet. That's potential. Sometimes we'll start at potential. Kinetic is where we can already see the movement of developers and transactions in a way that is indicative that there's something happening, that there's building going on at a scale that means, there's kinetic energy. It's like it's starting to build and build and build into a point where we can sort of come in and really help sort of accelerate that ecosystem.
Yeah. Got it. So how long has Flipside been around? I think you said it was founded 4 years ago. So what is the origin story then for Flipside, Dave?
Yeah. So the co-founders of this company, there's 3 of us. We've worked together across 3 and 4 companies respectively. So we've worked together a long time. And I was running a company with one of the co-founders, Jim Myers, who's the CTO. I was running a company in a different space in the death industry, of all industries, and it was venture backed, and we were sort of cruising along. And about 2.5 years in, we weren't achieving maybe in the way we would have liked. It was going fine, and our vision had evolved, and it wasn't a happy place, I guess. And so at night we started trading crypto. So this is early 2017, and we remember now, who's now our third co-founder, Eric Stone, had some algorithms that he used for swing trading, and we're like, hey, can we borrow those? And so what would happen is during the day, we would work on our death business, and then at night we'd go run off into a conference room and we'd use these algorithms to begin trading. Now, 2 things happened. The first is people started offering us money to help them trade. And we were like, no, we run this other business. And we actually, ultimately formed a club And so people started coming around to use our algorithms in sort of a investing club vehicle. So that was one thing that was happening. The second, which was the aha, was one night our head of product for the death business sort of tapped on the conference room window and, oh yeah, come in, come on. And he came in and he said, I want you two to know it feels like you've joined a different tribe. And Jim and I were like, what are you talking about? And he left, and we looked at each other and we're like, he's right. We're so passionate about crypto, and we've lost sort of maybe the energy for this other business. And so, there's a long story in between, but we went to the VCs and, focused on where our passion was, and eventually decided to be full-time in this space. And that started the company.
Yeah, nice. And I guess it's a reasonably common story. The class of crypto 2017, which is about when I was first bitten by the crypto bug, I guess. And once you get bitten, again, as I say, David, it is a common story. I'm sure you'll relate. Once you do get bitten, it becomes, everything else just gets a little bit less interesting. And sooner or later, you find a way to make the wider crypto ecosystem part of your new career path or business path, startup path, whatever it is, right?
Absolutely. We had one other moment, and I won't name the exec, but we went to a big crypto exec in Boston while we were debating which of this thing. And we had this hour. I said, hey, can we meet? Because we're thinking about crypto. And at the end of the meeting, he walked us out. We told him what we were doing. We walked us out, and I turned to him and I said, hey, thanks so much. I'll let you know what we decide. And I will never forget, he gripped my hand really hard and he looked me in the eyes and he said, you've already decided. And I was like, oh my God. And I walked out and I'm like, everyone could see it on us. Once you're in, once you see crypto, once you see what's possible, you can't unsee it. It's amazing.
So if you guys started in 2017 or even early 2018, then, a lot of that was probably one of the first big waves of kind of mainstream crypto startups. But of course, a lot did not make it through the subsequent crypto winter that followed. And, so talk to me about what that journey's been like, Dave, because it's one thing to start up a VC fund or even a trading fund. A lot of people did that, and maybe I kind of think perhaps the overheads there would be a little bit less than what you guys are building with Flipside, which is a bit more involved. So love to just get you to kind of reflect on that journey.
Yeah, so it was not a straight line. 2017, our funds grew. We had in the end we had 9 different vehicles, and we had a couple hundred different investors in the funds. We didn't love running a fund, and then the market got a little soft, and so the first sort of iteration of the business is we took all the data that we were running to sort of understand these crypto ecosystems and sort of do the trading for these funds. And we published it publicly. It was called FCAS, Fundamental Crypto Asset Score. And we distributed it, through CoinMarketCap and all sort of big, sites out there. It was getting 15 million API calls a day to sort of rate assets based on, 40 or 50 different factors. That business was we couldn't monetize it very well. We had customers, but it wasn't scaling. And so what began to change for us, what got us to this business, is blockchain. Once the rating system was out, blockchain started call us. Hey, I see you've got this rating on us. And we'd be like, yeah, do you want to talk about it? We tried to sell research or something. And they'd say, no, but we don't know any of the data on us. Could you be us some dashboards? And so we started selling sort of enterprise level dashboards. For $100K a year, we'll build, Terra will build you a super dashboard with all the information for the public. So that right there was sort of the third iteration of the business. What was very troubling about that business is we had 45 customers, and every customer we signed, the business got worse. because blockchains need data and insights so quickly and things change so fast that by the time we'd finish anyone's dashboard, it was already out of date. And so we took this like crazy leap in February of 2021 where we said, okay, we're going to do this totally differently. We're going to stop building a dashboard ever. And what we're going to do is just let the community decide, and we're going to motivate them. We're going to tell them what things to build, and we're going to take some assets from our own treasury and pay them to go build for us. And if you think of it, maybe before we sort of hugged all this data we had. It was super proprietary. We didn't want anyone to have it. And we flipped it. I mean, Flipside, we flipped it on its head. We gave it away for free and then asked them and the community to build. And that's where everything transformed for the business. So we're in the fourth era. We just closed a round of $50 million. So something's working because it's scaling very quickly and we're having a great time.
Okay, yeah, fascinating. Well, so explain that a bit more, Dave, that pivot at the start of 2021 to now, I guess, putting your community, or empowering the community. So love to hear a bit about the size of that user base and kind of some of the nuts and bolts of how that works in terms of, who decides what kind of I don't know what insights they're trying to find with these data sets. And you've got this massive community, and then you're just working with the kind of the smaller segment of proven kinetic energy chains. Is that sort of where we are now?
Yeah. So where we are now is there's about 60,000 people in our network.
Wow.
They're on all different sort of levels of learning. So there are people who show up, they don't know SQL, they don't even know maybe blockchains at all. They don't know what Terra is. They don't know what a wallet is. And we begin them on their journey with like, okay, we're going to start like, here's, first challenge, go create a wallet. And here's a quick query and maybe how you write that in SQL. And for that, we'll pay you. We'll give you, $15 or $25 of Luna to do that on Terra. But then as you start learning, more and more challenges start to appear for you. Okay. And there's 5 levels in the system. The 5th level is like a private community of like supreme analysts who do crazy, crazy stuff. They're really smart folks. But as you move up, there are different challenges. Now, those challenges come from a few different spots. Some of those challenges come from things our own community is seeing in the market. Hey, could somebody help me understand how this protocol works on this chain versus this one? Could someone build that? Good, we're going to bounty that out. But it also comes direct from the protocol or foundation or blockchain. There are lists and lists of things every group inside these organizations need to solve. We collect those, in a sort of open environment, and we just start pushing those bounties out so they can get answered in 24 hours. They can get answers to all their questions. It's a pretty amazing cycle.
Yeah, and so is there a pipeline for those analysts who just keep graduating to the higher and higher levels, and then do they get enticed away by I guess high level positions at some of these other chains?
I mean, this is a great question. Okay, every day we get a note from some analysts in our system. The ones we get the most are like, hey, I didn't even know what data analytics was. I just got a job at Boeing, in data analytics, like amazing. And we're like, what? Everyone's like, what? And they're like, I might not have enough time for bounties anymore, but I want to thank the community. Like that to us is like, we've made it. Like, that's amazing. Right. Sort of, they'll never forget the system that we helped them sort of learn through. The second is many of our blockchain protocol partners are in the community, and they are tapping people. Hey, I'm seeing you build stuff here. Could you help me build some BI tools? You want a job? So there are people who have jobs. We also do the same. Remember, we're seeing the best of the best, and there's all sorts of types of people in there. People better at sort of community management around analytics, and people better at doing deep scientific analysis. We'll hire them ourselves. And so I think the thing that gives us the most sort of pride of the business is this, we're helping people's careers. Like, we're helping people change lives. Many analysts make more than $100,000 in our system a year. Like, they're real. It's very, it's very powerful for them.
Yeah, look, I have no doubt. Well, I suppose then, Dave, you would probably have a really good insight into the wider blockchain space, really at a technical level, I suppose. So, just love to get some wider thoughts from yourself as to, how you would characterize the space at the moment, any trends you see emerging. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, look, so full disclosure to start, I am neither a data scientist nor an engineer. So I am a purveyor of our data and understand what's happening broadly. But like, if you ask me a truly technical question, I'd stare at you blankly. And
look, I'm the same, Dave. Don't worry. I'm just
Okay.
wider thoughts and reflections. Yeah.
Yeah. Wider thoughts. Good. Okay. Look, we do see the iteration. There's two big iterations happening that we see. The blockchains are moving out of sort of technical phase one, sort of like, okay, for a while, everybody was like, I'm going to build the faster chain or the more secure chain or whatever. And there's still bumps, people are still doing stuff, but we're almost over that first hump where now these chains, you sort of kind of know who's going to exist for this next era. And many of them have started turning their attention to things like acquiring quality community members to utilize the tools. And so like it's out of technical into community building and like what are they going to be for the future? Okay, that's part one. And that's an important phase to get into. We're sort of maturing these chains. Part two is really around retention, which is, we've been in a market where competition, I would say is there is no competition. Like, pick your chain, whether it's, Solana or Algorand or Terra, they have a lot of money and they're not fighting over the same customer too much. There's sort of like a lot of people who want to pour in. But what's starting to happen is you're seeing us evolve into, okay, people now know the chains they're going to exist on, and maintaining and retaining users is becoming more and more important. Right? It's people are picking where they're going to stick around, and so airdrops that have very low take rates, or an airdrop might end up with 10 to 30% retention of asset. People are still trying to find better ways now to retain users. And, I think you've got to give people a better reason to stick around than I'm going to give you free money every once in a while. So yeah, we see those two trends coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, as we finish off this part of the podcast, Dave, what's anything that you can share in terms of what is coming up in the product pipeline or the roadmap, anything like that? That's what are you guys working on for this year and beyond, even for Flipside?
Yeah. So one really interesting thing we've yet to touch on is last year we actually we contributed or distributed our entire IP into a DAO. So we gave an organization called Metrics DAO all of Flipside's processes. Now we processed just in March of 2022, we processed 30,000 bounties alone. We have a pretty robust process. We gave that to this DAO and we said, hey, you guys should be running this system in the most Web3 way possible. You should, forget about our sort of managed service. Let other Web3 and other DAO properties come here to get their analytics answered in sort of a distributed fashion. And so already in there, Harmony and Uniswap and Olympus DAO, they're all using that sort of vehicle, Metrics DAO, to sort of operate their analytical needs. So what we like seeing here is Flipside, is a contributor of IP to the most sort of Web3 formats. And we see this as another trend where there's going to be a variety of service orgs, DAOs that service other DAOs. And can Flipside continue to build the IP that helps those DAOs exist? We think it can. So we're pretty excited about that.
Nice, I love it. All right, well, just and shout out the Flipside various website URLs, anything where people should go if they want to learn more.
You got it. Flipsidecrypto.xyz and metricsdao.xyz. You can find information on both there.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go to a break, and then we will come back. We will finish off. We'll have some fun. We'll run Dave from Flipside through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second.
Here's what's being said about Masterworks.
My name is Jacob N. I'm from Long Island, and I've invested over $73,000 with Masterworks. My portfolio performance just wasn't cutting it. I researched all these alternative investments, like crypto and NFTs, but they didn't make sense to me. Then I read about Masterworks in Forbes, and I signed up right away. And now you can too. Thanks, Masterworks.
Get VIP access at masterworks.io and use promo code JACOB. See important disclosures at masterworks.io/DC.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Dave Balter. Dave is the CEO, and he's a co-founder at Flipside. And, well, Dave, you may or may not know, but I like to finish each Crypto Conversation podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire Crypto Conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
I'm scared, but sure. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens, Dave. All right. Question one is, where would you say you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
I'm a big owner of Bitcoin, but I believe very much in a multi-chain world. So I am non-maxi.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, Dave, what would you say is your firmest conviction, a crypto opinion?
My firmest opinion? Oh my gosh. That's a tough one. I would say that people, this is terrible, but I'll just say people in the crypto ecosystem, they're almost given less credibility because they operate in a different format than the traditional world. They're, many times anonymous, or they're working under, under the sort of guise of, in a Discord. I think very much that this is the future of how people interact around technical and financial advances. And that's not going to change. So we're at the precipice of the next thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, Dave. The only problem is, there's just crypto just has a bad reputation because there's just so many bad actors, so many scammers, just a little bit too much fast money hustlers, which gives the rest of us a bad name, right?
I would agree. I think of it like the start of the stock market. When the stock market in the U.S. began, there was hustlers and grifts and cons galore, and it's sort of, where there's technical advance, there's going to be those people showing up. I think it's maybe this is the conviction. I think it's a signal there's something here. And I think eventually that noise will die out as the real organizations, build the next systems that keep less of that in and more of the real people doing their thing.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Dave, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So, whatever you like here, blockchain, Flipside, Web3, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
Man. Okay. So, Bill Gates he didn't say that when the crypto industry was around. The classic, 7 years is like a year in crypto. It's dog years. I don't think there is underestimating that's happening. I think 2 years, it's going to be spectacular. 10 years, every single transaction that is related to our financial or our identity applications will be done on blockchain. Most people won't ever know. It won't be called blockchain. It's just how systems will run. So I think that's happening. That's advancing. And it's going to be a much safer world.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, well, I guess the flip side of that is a very famous quote that you will have heard from William Gibson, who said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my quick Neil Stephenson story, which is I used to run a company called Buzz Agent, which was pre-social media, and we ended up on the cover of the New York Times Magazine as the word-of-mouth company. It was a crazy time in 2004, and there was a lot of debate about the business, and Neil Stephenson came out and basically was like, this is what dangerous future looks like, or something crazy. Something that I'm like, you're killing me. Like he said something, David Byrne said something, all these people that I was like, these are like my heroes, and they're upset at me. Anyway, so maybe that's part of the future isn't evenly distributed. Now nobody would care about what we were doing then. I would say the one spot here is NFTs as SaaS businesses. So you see a lot of NFTs around, around art and, PFPs, et cetera. But like, you're just going to see some real momentum under NFTs being used to service, real organizations' software licenses. And I'm starting to see that out there quite a bit. I think that's going to be a big entry point for the next couple of years as traditional businesses get into this space.
Nice. I love it. All right. Time to zoom out, time to get weird just for a second. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see Utopia or Dystopia?
Oh man. Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I actually have COVID as we speak, so I don't know what's going on. It's hard for me to believe we're not really screwing this thing up. The way governments are behaving with each other, the way the stakes are just so much higher, the way everything's politicized, the pandemics are, changing how we interact. I'm dystopian. Like, I think we're living underground. We're living underground before we get off the planet. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I'd like to move to New Zealand or somewhere that seems like that won't happen, but who knows?
Nice. All right. Yeah. Well, we've got plenty of room down here in New Zealand. So welcome anytime, Dave. Finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, TV show, or universe?
Book, film, TV show, or universe. I'm gonna stall for a second. I'm opening my Goodreads. Is that okay?
Of course.
My Goodreads. Okay. I'm gonna because I've read a few recently that I've been really, really psyched about, and I never remember them. I try to read 100 books a year, and so I'm like,
nice.
What do I remember? Okay, I rarely make it. I get to like 70, and then I get pretty tired. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. What's my favorite last one? Too many freaky. You're talking about dystopian. I'm reading like The Great Influenza and stuff that nobody should be reading because it'll freak you out about what's happening in the world going forward.
Yeah.
Max Brooks's Devolution I liked quite a bit. So Max Brooks, I think, is actually a pretty amazing science fiction author. He wrote Lexicon. I'm sorry, Max Barry. Max Brooks. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to look at. Yeah, I'm just looking at Max now.
Max Barry did Lexicon. I think that one I really loved. He also did Providence, which I thought was amazing. Let's do that. Let's stay away from Max Brooks. Sorry, Max Brooks. I still love you.
Okay, well, Max Brooks, he writes zombie stories according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, and so I don't know, is that science fiction to you? Maybe
yeah, totally. It's World War Z. Definitely dystopian. I love that you try and you have a goal of 100 books a year, and so is that just a solid mix of fiction, non-fiction, whatever, anything goes?
Fiction, non-fiction. I just want to digest information. I'm probably I'd say a third non-fiction. A third fiction, 2/3 non-fiction.
Yeah, and so you're probably not one of these people that spends hours a day on Twitter like the rest of us then, Dave.
I'm hanging around every once in a while, but I probably am not. I wouldn't be considered the most tweet prolific, but I'm there. But I like reading. I like getting into my own world in there. So
I like it. All right, this has been excellent, Dave. Thank you very much for coming on the show today. Nothing else to say except to hand the metaphorical microphone back to your good self. Please tell the people where they can find you if when you're hanging out on Twitter or wherever else you hang on the internet when you're not reading, and where they can go to dig into what you guys are building with Flipside Crypto.
You got it. At Dave Balter on Twitter. That's nice and easy. So just at Dave Balter, all one word. If you're in either Metrics DAO or Flipside's Discord, Flip Dave, you can find me in there, hanging around, doing all sorts of stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. And for more on Flipside, just go to flipsidecrypto.xyz. Thanks very much, Dave. All the best, and bye for now.
Andy, thank you. It was awesome.
All right, there you go. That was Dave from Flipside Crypto. Yeah, very interesting learning about that platform. And yeah, fascinated by Dave's goal of 100 books a year. Yeah, man. Makes me feel bad. I don't read anywhere near close to that. I mean, I used to read a lot when I was younger, but now, yeah, I think it's just, I'm sure listeners, it will be the same for many of you. It's just this slightly toxic relationship that we have with our phones and these various social media platforms that we're on. I mean, I don't really spend time on any of them except for Reddit and Twitter, but man, I do spend a lot of time on Twitter. It takes up my reading time. Anyway, we'll have to see how that plays out now that Elon is in charge. What's he going to do to the Twitter experience? Is he going to ruin it? Is he going to improve it? Will it be business as usual? I don't know. All I do know is that I will probably be there to find out. All right. Thank you, listeners. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. Give us a rating in Apple iTunes or the Apple Podcast app. That's always appreciated. And yeah, that's today's show. Thanks for listening, team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.